Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the February 12th, 2020 Airport Commission meeting. I asked everyone to turn off their electronic devices so there's no unnecessary interruptions. We have NCM filming this. Is there anybody else filming this meeting?
Christopher Donovan Jr., Boston Executive Helicopter.
Thank you. So first on the agenda, we have Jeff Adler from Du Bois and King with an AIP project update. Afternoon, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Jeff Adler with Du Bois and King. First, I just want to start off with giving an update on AIP projects that we're going to be moving forward with this year. So I think back in November, we had talked about a fencing project, EA, and post-construction monitoring with what the local shares were going to be for those. At this point, because the Newark Airport is still AIP grant ineligible, we've changed that because you're only eligible to receive non-primary entitlement money. So that's $150,000 a year. You didn't use any non-primary entitlement last year, so with last year and this year, you get $300,000 that can be used for projects. So based on that, and based on the projects we had in the queue right now, the two AIP projects that we are going to move forward with after talking with FAA are the environmental assessment for the paved safety areas and for the Taxiway Charlie relocation, as well as the post-construction monitoring for the Taxiway A project years 1 and 2. And so those local shares would be, for the EA, would be $14,166 for the EA. That would be the Norwood share. And for the post-construction monitoring would be $2,500. So I just wanted to give an update on that because that differs from what we had talked about back in November. When we
Do we need a vote on that, Jeff?
I think you can take a vote. I mean, we'll be moving forward with finalizing scope and fees and the grants, which we should have all ready for next month's commission meeting. Mm-hmm. So it's up to you. I mean, at that point, we would need a vote to submitting the grant applications.
I'm going to step out, just get a cough drop, excuse me.
Oh.
I need a,
Kevin, I think that door has to stay open to meet the public accommodations law, correct, Counselor?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
unless you're in executive session.
Yeah, thank you. How's it in office?
Good, we're getting there.
Yeah.
In conference, got some work on the conference room that's still,
Yeah.
I thought we'd have it wrapped up last
Do
week.
you overlook the runway now?
What's that?
Do you overlook the runway now?
Oh, yeah,
Nice.
it's pretty nice, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, come by anytime.
Yeah, no, I will. I was hoping this meeting with a bed now.
Jeff's been in the building. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark
Yeah,
Ramey,
it's
Mark
getting-
Ramey got better accommodations
Oh,
too. You
yeah.
gotta keep
Yeah,
Mark
he's pretty
happy.
Yeah. He's got a bigger office than me.
Yeah.
But that's good.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of workspace downstairs that is,
yeah.
more conducive to getting things done. Yeah.
And ATP is gonna go into a little space you got to.
Yeah. So, that'll be exciting. That'll
Yeah,
boost our operations and, good all the way around, I think.
I agree.
pardon that.
That's all right. So yeah, so I mean, it's up to you. I mean, we'll be having the the contracts and the grant applications for the for the March meeting. That'll have those numbers, but
All right, so we'll vote on it then.
I think that would be fine.
Okay.
Yep. So anyway, so regarding projects, we did have a scoping meeting for the EA, the kickoff meeting with FAA, Mass DOT. I think the kickoff meeting went well. So basically with that, we'll just be moving forward over the next month, developing the fee for that. There'll be an IFE done, which Russ has already coordinated with the consultant who does the independent fee estimate. So I would think we'd be all set by next month's meeting, with the fee and the grant application. Because right now, the word I'm getting from FAA is if you can get grant applications in earlier, there's a good chance to get the grants earlier. We shall see if that falls through, but that's at least what I'm being told at this point, so that's an optimistic view as well, so. So the other thing is, on the master plan, so there were, based on the scoping meeting that we had for the EA, Richard Doucette from FAA had reviewed the master plan as well coming into that meeting. He provided a few more comments.
I saw.
So we'll be addressing those. So the hope at this point is over the next month, we can finish all comments. And come the March meeting, we hope to be able to say that we're essentially done with addressing comments. But time will tell. I know I've said that a few times, but really, I think we're getting very close at this point. So.
Great.
So I think that's pretty much it. Unless there's any
Anything
questions.
for Jeff?
No, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. We got some meeting minutes. The first one is the November 20th meeting. There were two regular session meetings that day. This is the one called to order at 3:42 PM. There were some minor changes, and they were addressed. Is there a motion to accept?
On 20th, correct?
November 20th.
November 20th. Yeah, motion to accept.
Motion made.
Second, wasn't at the meeting, but I have reviewed the minutes as corrected, and second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. January 22nd, regular business meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you. Russ, Airport Managers Report.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything to add to the written report unless there are questions.
I have no questions, just a comment, but no one else has any questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman, I just want to look for something here.
So Russ and I are meeting tomorrow with the Recreation Department about possibility of adding an aviation day down in Albany Airport, aviation open house, so we'll be getting back to you the next meeting about how that went. But partnering up with them will be a great asset having them.
Can I see your airport manager's report? I must have left it at home when I was looking at it. Oh, and I had asked this last meeting, any date yet on the Welsh Administration Building, Mr. Chairman, the dedication? And the reason I ask is, the sister of Major Welsh is my neighbor, and she asks me every time, so.
Yeah, once weather gets, better out there, we're looking to have something in the spring, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, and I just, thank you, Russ, for breaking this out, the FBO's, flight levels, revenue generation, and BEH, revenue generation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the report?
Motion to accept the manager's report.
Motion made
Second.
and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. Let's see, first we have Mass DOT payment requests, fit out the Major Mark C. Welch Administration Building. We have a memo here, amended request to submit to Mass DOT to fund 3 items for the fit out the Welch Administration Building. The total cost is $5,302.72, and in your packet, it lists the 3 items. And Mass DOT share will be $5,037.59. The town share was $265.13. So it's a motion to submit this pay voucher to Mass DOT for reimbursement.
So moved.
Motion made.
Seconded.
We in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. Okay, we have a commercial permit application from ATP, that was in your packet. And I'd like to welcome representatives from ATP here, if they'd like to sit up and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company and
Sure. My name is Mark Butler. I'm the Director of Facilities for ATP Flight School. If you're not familiar with us, we operate 40 locations around the country. And a lot of people probably misunderstood the term flight school. We make airline pilots. And so a lot of your local companies teach people to fly, which is part of becoming an airline pilot. But we do not give private lessons or commercial license. That's part of the process to be an airline pilot. So we bring in a unique aspect to it. That's all we do. We're not in direct competition with the ones that are already at the airport. We find that usually we work well together. We produce CFIs, or certified flight instructors, that they need, and then some of the students who complete their training with them want to become an airline pilot. So we're not generally in direct competition with the local groups. What we will do is if we are a grand operating permit, we'll establish a flight school here locally that would represent most of Boston. We're not operating this far north. The closest we are right now is Hartford, Connecticut. We see that as Boston as a great opportunity for us. So it wouldn't just be serving the Norwood area, it would be pulling students in from around the Boston area. Two, we also provide housing. So we would lease some local apartments to bring other students into the area and that they would live in your local community. And on top of that, we produce a lot of CFIs who we turn around and employ locally. So when they get done with our program, they become a flight instructor for us. We employ them locally if they desire to stay here. And then they get their hours accumulating so they can ultimately become an airline pilot. So I think you'll see that we strive to have a partnership with the local airport authorities and the airport and all the other schools. We want to do well. We want y'all to do well. So we look forward to moving forward with this project. If there's any specific questions, I can certainly answer them.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Sheehan?
question for Russ. Russ, were there any waivers requested of the application?
There were no waivers. There are some outstanding items, I guess. ATP has filed a certificate with the state of Massachusetts. You
yeah.
have a copy of
Yeah.
the filing, so that is a record of their efforts to get that certificate, so that's outstanding.
Yeah,
My understanding is there is a lease forthcoming, a sample lease from Flight Level. They're actually gonna extend a lease if this company is approved in our now vacated office space. The company did provide me with 3 credit references and 2 bank references. I do have, there's actually a letter from the
Yeah.
First Citizens Bank.
Yeah,
You
I
have
got
that
that.
from the
Yeah.
bank. And I actually had one of the credit references call today and stated that it was an outstanding company and they do business with the ATP regularly. And then they have also included behind the letter from First Citizens is a pro forma statement.
yeah.
So we don't have, obviously, operating expenses, financial statement of their profit and loss for 3 months. So
Yeah.
this is all projected.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, in the past, we've granted these, but we've asked them to come back in like 6 months and provide that 3 months statement. That's correct? Yep. So that would be the oldest, and I see that they applied for their certificate, so that's fine. And the lease we're talking about today, correct? In executive session?
No,
separately.
separate lease.
Separately.
This would be an
Separately.
office lease,
Oh, okay.
Flight Level to
Okay.
ATP.
So we would just need a copy of it.
Correct.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we have any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we do have copies of the lease. We made them for the commissioners.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Got those, Nick?
Yeah.
Just
Thank you.
please say who you are.
Oh,
Nick, for the recording secretary.
Nick Burlingham, Flight Level Aviation.
And this is the lease that's been offered to ATP? Nick?
Yes, it is.
Okay, but it hasn't been finalized, right?
It's very, very close.
Okay. Okay, this is something.
We've come to agreement on terms. We need to fully read the lease.
Yeah.
But yes, the terms in the lease has outlined we have agreed to.
Okay. Mark, just quickly, so I see hours of Monday through Friday, 7 to 5, so there'll be no weekends?
We do fly on the weekends, but we generally operate during the business day where we do have flights, but the school is not necessarily open. But instructors will be there and students will be there, but we don't bring in guests and things. So Monday through Friday is what we tell people, where we maintain a desk.
Okay, and then you said students live in, so how long will the students be here?
So students typically, depending, they start with no flight time, it's 9 months, and with flight time, it can be 6 months. I mean, that's the goal, some are longer, a few are shorter. But that being said from that point, they become a certified flight instructor, either we employ locally, or someone else may pick up, one of the other flight schools. So, but yes, 9 months typically,
So this student would come here for 9 months?
correct.
Wow, and then I imagine they would get a job on the side, or is this?
No,
this
this is it.
full-time?
It's full-time. To complete the program in 9 months is rigorous. It's a program that's made to do one thing, which is to get them to the airlines in the most efficient and safest way manner. Whereas you have other people, flight schools, where you take it at your own pace. This is not a self-paced program. They agree to it up ahead of time. Now, again, some take 10, some takes 12 months. But yes, they're devoted to that. They're not allowed to have a job outside of this. So.
And you've got 4 aircraft. Can you describe the single engine and the twin?
So we'll be operating most likely the Piper Archers, and then the Seminole would be the twin. We do operate Cessna 172s, but usually for the Northeast, New England, I would anticipate that we'd be running the Archers up here. Out west, we do the Cessnas. We just do that for the sake of easier maintenance, so, and regions.
Are you gonna have any simulators?
We will. We would end up with like a tabletop PFC, most likely, a GTX that would have to match the aircraft. So yes, we would run simulator training as well, but it's a small, desktop type. It looks more like a computer monitor with a flight stick, not the larger ones.
It's pretty impressive, this statement, as America's largest flight school,
For airline pilots, that
leading
is correct.
supplier of professionally trained pilots to the nation's regional airlines.
That is correct.
Wow.
We have, right now, 39 locations, and we have a couple more besides this one we're opening. So it's, yes, we have a very strong business. We've been in business since 1984. We're still owned by still owned by mom and pop. It's the same company, the founders. So. We do not trade, we're US only, if that's a question that comes up sometimes. If you deal with flight schools that make airline pilots, a big business is international. We do not dabble in that. All of ours are US only, so.
Is all your training under Part 141 or is it 61?
This all will be a Part 61. We do have a 141 program somewhere else with a university, but everything else, the 39 locations are all Part 61.
What university?
Arizona State, so we run their flight training program for them out in Mesa, Arizona.
Are you still involved with Jacksonville University or?
No, not that I'm aware of. So I've been with the company for 2 years, and I'm not familiar with that partnership.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I spent some time with Mark this morning, along with Mike Delaria, the Chief Operating Officer for Flight Level. Talked about a bunch of different issues, one of them being noise abatement, and passed along, obviously, our noise abatement procedures and the fact that those are taken very seriously, and the noise sensitivity of pretty much all the neighborhoods west of the airport. So Mark has assured me that his students would pay attention to that, and that would be passed on to the students as well, so, other students. So pretty confident that this company that's been a flight school for quite a while will adhere to our procedures.
So Russ, outstanding is the pending certificate
From the state,
yeah.
I still need 2 credit references that have been listed, and I'm just waiting to hear back on those. 2 credit references, 2 bank references. We now have the lease, and obviously, operating expenses or some type of a financial statement once the business is in operation 6 months down the line.
And the lease, we still need the executed one, right? Is that what you usually look for?
Yes.
Okay. So is there an interest to someone making a motion?
Yeah, I will. Mr. Chairman, just a question for Russ. So all of these students will be badged?
If they're unescorted, they will have to be badged.
Yeah.
Typically, we work it out with the airport, we follow their guidance, but traditionally, our instructors are badged and certified, and
Yeah.
the students are escorted to the planes.
Right, and that's how we deal with the other flight schools on the airport. The students early on get badged. We get a recommendation from the flight school that they be badged. and-
Certainly, we can work with that.
Yeah.
That won't be an issue for us.
And how many instructors will you have?
I would anticipate initially we'll have 1 or 2 for the 10 students, and then with the aircraft. We typically let it grow organically. We're forecasting 20 in the second year. I think that's probably achievable. I would be surprised if we can't do a lot better than that, just based on the location. We have a lot of students from the Boston area coming to our other flight schools, and that's one reason we're here. So
Great.
Can you
keep them
just-
locally.
Can you just have those instructors meet with Russ and go on the noise abatement as the commissioner that lives in District 9?
Yes, sir.
I see many of these people, and noise is a concern, and if we don't want to have any, we've got plans to expand the airport hopefully here shortly, and we want to keep it all. So if you would just have Russ cover with them.
We will. We'll make sure that everyone
Yeah.
comes by and meets them face to face when they arrive. We certainly
Thank
can.
you. Yeah, I'm prepared to make a motion if you're prepared to accept it, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Sheehan.
I make the motion that we approve this application with the following documentation be provided when available to the airport manager, the certificate of good standing. Is it the certificate of good standing from the Secretary of State? Is that the
I think
certificate
it's
of
the,
wage?
from the corporation's database, it's
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, I believe that's covers it. The executed lease be provided to us once it's executed by the parties. And within 6 months, 3 months operating and bank statements just showing us so we can see where the operation is going. And those are my conditions, but
May I add, Russ is going to check in on the 2 credit references and the 2 bank
yeah,
references, right?
and Russ,
Correct.
yeah,
Yep,
correct
So
on those.
The lot falls on you to be satisfied with that, Russ.
okay.
If you need any help, just let us know. We'll make them call you.
Yeah, that way you don't have to come back here once you get all that stuff.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the town, though. So.
Yeah, oh, good, good. It's a great town.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
Regards to aircraft maintenance, is all your maintenance in-house?
No, we contract locally. We have facilities that do it both ways, but here we plan on contracting locally with Flight Level Aviation, and then we would do our 100-hour inspections. We'll fly the aircraft out and have that done at one of our facilities. But all other maintenance except for the inspections.
Where are your maintenance facilities?
Right now, we're opening one in MacArthur ISP in Long Island, and that's allowed us to come to New England. We were in Wilmington, Delaware, which limited our range. Recently, we've moved to Long Island, though, so that's helped. So, but yeah, so the vast majority of the maintenance will be contracted locally.
So we do have a motion?
I think,
Is there a second?
as long as, we're gonna address the lease and the credit references, and I don't have a problem with the maintenance, I was just curious, so I'm gonna second the motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Welcome.
Well,
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have quite a bit of correspondence. And then after that, we're gonna go into executive session for a couple items. And then when we come out of executive session, we're gonna go back into regular session to take care of some items, so. before-
Motion to file the correspondences.
Motion made
Second.
and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. So we have 2 reasons to go in executive session. The first is purpose 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the town. And this is regards to Lot ABC lease offer to Flight Level. And for purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have detrimental effects on the litigating position of the Norwood Airport Commission. 1, Boston Executive Helicopters. 2, Boston Executive Helicopters versus Norwood Airport Commission of the town of Norwood. And also to go over January 22nd, 2020 executive session minutes. Motion for all those, please.
And motion will be returning to regular session just for the purpose of adjourning. So moved.
Nope,
Nope.
we're gonna when we come
Oh, I'm
back to
sorry.
open session,
I wasn't
we
listening.
will have one item to address, and then
Oh.
we'll adjourn after that.
My error, I stand
Sorry.
corrected. Yeah, no, my error. So moved.
Motion made
Second?
and seconded. Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Cochran?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan votes yes. Thank you. We're going to have a little meeting, and then we'll go back into public session afterwards. Welcome back to the Norwood Airport Commission meeting, February 12th, 2020. We have one more item on the agenda, but we did recognize that BEH and NCM is recording this. Is there any other entity recording this meeting?
Yes, Norwood Record,
Name, please.
Matthew McDonald.
Thank you. So we have one more item. Is there a motion to offer a ground lease to Flight Level for lots A, B, C?
I make the motion to offer the lease to Flight Level for lots A, B, and C, but the stipulation that a plan be provided as the exhibit, because we did not have it as the exhibit.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'm sorry, the exhibit?
Exhibit A shows the plan.
Yeah, we didn't
Yes, yes.
see Exhibit
We
A,
didn't see
so
the
we
exhibit, yes.
want to make sure we see that.
The second.
It's part of it.
Not it,
On the motion for everyone at home, this is a lease of an area of 95,446 square feet, which includes tie-down areas and plus an area that Flight Level will be constructing a hangar on. This was a request for proposals that the town put out last May, and there was only one bid on this, and that was Flight Level, and it was acceptable, and we finally worked out the lease details between councils. So there's been a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.